Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name's Drew, and I did my ecology report on the book Dune. It was written in 1965 by a guy named Frank Herbert. Basically, Dune is based on a complex society set roughly 20,000 years in the future. The setting is the year 10,191, and human beings have spread out and colonized planets throughout the universe. Noble houses control each their own set of planets. Even though some of the houses do not get along, they all owe allegiance to the imperial house of Emperor Coriano. Dune tells the story of young Paul Atreides, the heir to the noble house of Atreides. At the start of the story, Paul's father assumes control of the desert planet Arrakis, and on this planet is a very valuable resource called melange, or as they call it, spice. But spice is very hard to acquire due to giant sandworms that are attracted to the sound of the heavy machinery that is used to extract the spice. The spice is a heavy powder which smells like cinnamon and glows blue. It is highly addictive, and long-term users acquire blue within blue-colored eyes, but is also used in space travel. A group called the Space Guild uses spice to help guide huge spaceships from planet to planet. The navigators of this guild basically sit in a tank of spice that allows them to transport the whole ship, but over time it mutates them. They basically become like these giant manta ray things in these tanks. They're pretty disgusting, but it's kind of cool how they can travel through space and whatnot. The Atreides arrive on Arrakis, and the Duke quickly moves to secure the planet. The Duke's Paul's father. They quickly move to secure the planet from a Harkonian attack. The Harkonians are basically the Atreides rivals, and they don't get along. The Duke's main plan is to enlist the Fremen. They're the natives of the Arakan Desert, as soldiers and as advisors. Meanwhile, Paul's mother, Jessica, intrigues the Fremen. Jessica is a member of the Bene Gesserit. Bene Gesserit is a quasi-mystical witches with strange powers. The Fremen believe that Jessica and her son, Paul, are saviors who have come to lead them toward creating a paradise on the dry Arrakis. There's a guy named Dr. Yua. He's basically a member of the Atreides house, and he, in the end, betrays them because the Harkonians took his wife, and in order to get his wife back, he has to help the Harkonians. But, they lie, and they kill him. The Harkonians arrive and wipe most of the Atreides out by using the Sardaukar, which are the super soldiers of the Emperor, who is secretly helping the Harkonians. So now you have, the Harkonians, the Emperor, and the Atreides houses. And the Harkonians and the Emperor have teamed up to betray the Atreides house. The traitor, Dr. Yua, hands Duke Leto over to the Baron, but basically he feels bad about it and helps Jessica and Paul escape. Dr. Yua places a secret tooth in Duke Leto's mouth, and the tooth basically can release a gas, and the Duke is basically held captive until the leader, Baron Harkonnen, arrives, and he's, interrogating Duke Leto, but Duke Leto bites the secret tooth and releases this poisonous gas from his tooth and basically tries to kill Baron Harkonnen, but it fails and the Duke dies. There's Thurfer Harwat, the Duke Leto's master of assassins, escapes also. And he tries to join the Fremen, but is captured by the Harkonians. But he agrees to work for the Baron as an advisor while secretly plotting to his revenge against the Baron and Jessica, who he thinks basically betrayed Duke Leto. So he's upset about all of that and is secretly planning in a plot to kill basically everyone who killed the Atreides family. Dr. Kynes, a Fremen leader and planetary ecologist, I guess this is how it ties into ecology, since this guy is an ecologist, orders the Fremen to find Jessica and Paul. They're running around in the desert right now, which totally sucks, but the Fremen capture and then quickly accept Jessica and Paul as their destined leaders. Jessica becomes their Reverend Mother, which basically is kind of like a high priest, sort of. While Paul is recognized as something close to a religious prophet, Paul takes the name Muad'Dib, a religious title that means mouse. It's mostly desert mouse. It's he likes it because it's quick and it's witty and it can escape from danger. He mostly as he matures swiftly following his father's death, Paul discovers he has great powers above and beyond those of his mother. He can see into both the future and the distant past. He basically, since he's on the planet, Arrakis, melange is everywhere, so the spice, heightens his power. After 2 years, the Baron is living on their home, on the Harkonian homeworld. He schemes to take over the Empire from basically, now he's going to betray the Emperor. While training one of his nephews, Fade Rotha, to take over the job of Baron, while he goes and tries to take over the Emperor's position. Meanwhile, on Arrakis, Paul has basically become very powerful and influential among the Fremen. He's both their he's their president and their religious leader. So he's now got, supreme power over the native people. And Paul has a child with a Fremen woman named Chani, the daughter of Kynes, the doctor who was formerly in charge of the Fremen. So now he has a child, and he's big deal now. Paul's mother also has given birth to Paul's sister, her name's Aaliyah. It was Duke Leto's daughter, who was conceived prior to his death. And she has powers that are stronger than Paul and his mother. Paul teaches the Fremen to fight using a special style called the Weirding Way, and using the advanced fighting techniques of the Ben Gesserit. The Ben Gesserit, in case you guys forgot, are the mystical witches. So basically they learn their fighting style, so hopefully one day they can overthrow the Harkonian leaders. And, basically in the capital city where the Harkonians are leading, the conditions are very bad. People are being killed, water is not given out as much, and, everything's in short supply. So basically a resistance movement is moving up, and attacks start happening on, the capital city and the Harkonian troops, and basically they're starting a revolution. And one day the Fremen discover that the Baron has abandoned his nephew, basically the aide who he was running the Arrakis. His name is Robin. And Paul and the Fremen make plans to raid the Arakan's capital now that Robin is cut off from the Baron's help. And, so Paul basically gathers a huge Fremen army of all the different tribes, and one of the things that they can do is they can ride these giant sandworms, which is pretty crazy. I mean, you have to see it, so everyone go rent the movie. Upon discovering the powers of the Fremen, the Emperor, who hasn't been overthrown yet, he goes to Arrakis because he doesn't believe what's going on. And he brings his super soldier troops to basically, enforce the law. And Baron Harkonnen also is there. And meanwhile, after being poisoned by Duke Leto at the beginning of the movie, he's very sick and whatnot. And the Fremen basically, they attack the Emperor. They attack the capital, and basically they attack the Emperor and quickly dismantling his spaceships. And Paul's Fremen warriors destroy the super soldiers of the Emperor. And in the battle, Leah, Paul's sister, she ends up stabbing the Baron Harkonnen, and basically he's poisoned again, and he eventually dies. But unfortunately, Paul's young son also dies in the raid, which, at that time, he's fairly young. And, Paul demands that the Emperor step down. Basically, the Emperor is now at Paul's every demand, since his army's destroyed, and, the Emperor has nowhere else to go. So, he demands the Emperor step down, and Paul asks to marry the Emperor's daughter. And the way that he can marry the Emperor's daughter is basically the woman who he had the baby with, Chani, was considered his concubine. It's just basically a way to, if you kept the marriage position open, then you could marry houses together to keep them from warring. So that was the reason why he never married her. And he eventually he marries the daughter Irulian, and he becomes the new emperor. But that's not over yet. The Baron Harkonnen's nephew, he had another nephew, Fade Rotha, challenges Paul, citing that, vengeance is basically why he's doing this, and he wants to get revenge for, Paul's sister killing his uncle. So basically they have this duel, and it's a full-on kind of like gladiator arena in the middle of this temple, in the capital city. And, they're fighting to the death, and Paul eventually he kills Rotha in the duel. And powerless now, the Emperor agrees to Paul's demands, and Paul becomes the new Emperor. The way I chose to present my project was through the game Minecraft, which I'm sure some of you have heard of. It's basically kind of like Legos, so to speak. And I spent way too much time on this project. Overall, me and my friend Patrick spent roughly about 35 hours constructing the world and the environments, and of course the giant sandworm that we took so much effort into making. But I hope you guys enjoyed this, and to everyone, have a good day.